I'm gonna need to get you a stool. You disappear behind that monitor, Cheryl.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening. Can you see? Good evening, Mayor and members of council. The purpose of tonight's presentation is twofold. First, to provide an overview of the key discussion points identified by council members over the past several months, and then secondly, to solicit your input in determining which priorities of those key discussion points that council would like staff to vet in more detail. The key points for discussion that have been identified by council members have been dealing with the quorum, dealing with the city classification, first or second, looking at the election systems, ward versus at-large elections, eligibility for office for council members, and how council members are appointed either by the mayor or the governing body. First, we'll take a look at the issue of the quorum. Our options are to look at a majority of the council or a supermajority of the council. The statutes allow 3. For us, that would be a simple majority of our council. Our current charter ordinance requires that we have 4 members of the council for a quorum, which is a supermajority. So staff would be looking for council direction on whether or not this section of Charter Ordinance 19 need to be addressed to change the number for a quorum from 4 to 3. City classification. Once a jurisdiction reaches a population of 25,000, the statutes require that they become a city of first class. There are some minor procedural differences when you go to a city of a first class. First, there's an additional $35 that the governing body candidate would pay to file, and a more detailed campaign finance reporting standard is required to be in compliance with the statute's Campaign Finance Act. Secondly, municipal judge qualifications. As a city of second class, the city's judge may be licensed to practice in the state of Kansas, or they can be certified by the Supreme Court. Our judge is actually licensed by the state of Kansas. Procedures for calling special meetings. As a city of second class, a special meeting may be called by the mayor as well as 3 council members. When you are a city of a first class, a special meeting can be called by any 2 council members and the mayor. Authority to sign contracts is another procedural difference. Contracts can be signed by the mayor if you are a city of the first class, and then the bid process for public improvement. And you'll recall we just went through an extensive review of our purchasing requirements, so we have purchasing requirements in place now that we believe are leading in best practices for purchasing. If the city determines that they would like to change class, which in review of the statutes, what we're doing now, or we can do either first or second, anything that we'd like to change based on the issues that are identified, we can still do. So there's really very little benefit for us, or no benefit in us moving from one class to the other class before we're required to do so. However, if the council decides that they'd like to get ahead of the 25,000 population and they'd like to move, we would need to have the population certified by the governor. Then the governor would issue a proclamation. Afterwards, we would need to review our ordinances, resolutions. We have over 2,000 ordinances. We have over 1,000 resolutions. Back in 2002, the city hired special counsel that had expertise in actually moving and dealing with cities changing from one class to the next. So we would want to look at hiring legal counsel to be able to perform that analysis and provide us with some recommendations and get the expertise of specifically dealing with benefits of first versus second and the other items that are identified in our charter ordinance. Staff has not vetted the legal costs or the labor for that. Upon your direction tonight, we'll look at that and come back to a second workshop and give you a feeling for exactly what the cost would be to be able to engage in that exercise. After that's done, then we'll be able to pass a new charter ordinance. The next issue that was identified was looking at the election systems. The National League of Cities did a survey back in 2003. They looked at jurisdictions that range from 25,000 to just shy of 70,000 in population. What they reported was that about 75% of them use either an at-large or a mixed system. So those jurisdictions that are looking purely at wards, precincts, or districts are about a quarter, 26%. If you look at the material published, and when you go to the National League of Cities website, they actually have some information on the pros and cons of looking at an at-large system versus a ward system under their municipal government 101, looking at just officers. And so we really took this information strictly from their site and presented their views on the pros and cons of an at-large system versus a ward system. Couple of things they pointed out with an at-large system. Their thinking is that you would have perhaps a larger candidate pool, that it could minimize vote trading, and that because you're looking at an at-large and the governing body would be responsible for representing the entire jurisdiction, you get more of a community perspective. With a ward or district system, the league reports that while it gives all groups a better chance of being represented, and it has the potential to improve citizen participation, a lot of times you get council members, because they're specific to their districts or specific to their wards, they're paying attention to ward or specific items that only impact the constituents that they believe they serve, as opposed to the overall city.
Can you stop in that?
Sure.
What is vote trading? I'm not sure I understand what that term is.
It is basically, you vote for my item, and then I'll vote for your item when you need me. It's kind of brokering votes, getting support, garnering support, because you have...
Yeah, why would that be something that's specific to...
Because you're not really focusing on a particular area, and so there are policy issues or things that you would like passed, and so what you do is you kind of work out a system where someone supports an issue that you get someone to support an issue that you have, and in turn they'll support you on another issue.
And that's less likely to happen in
an at-large, right? Because you're not trying to move forward something for your particular district. The council member of record, when you work in a system or in a local government where they have districts, the council member of record for that district is usually looked to for where they stand, and then a lot of times the council members kind of follow where that council member of record is going. And because they're trying to advocate for their particular district or ward, they have to, in order to get it through, they need to broker support such that when it's the other council member's time and it's their district, they're supporting them, instead of everybody working for one thing. So if we would like to go to, if the council determines that they would like to go to a system that involves districts or wards, there are a couple of statutory requirements. First, precinct boundaries cannot change within 4 months of any primary election. Secondly, those boundaries cannot change between primary and general elections. In talking with Johnson County Supervisor's Office, they believe it is likely that we'll need to change precinct boundaries. So we would be bound by those two first rules. We can't make any changes to the system within 30 days of an election. What we'll need to do is we'll need to probably do some GIS or Geographic Information System mapping to determine what those wards look like. They need to be equally balanced. So we'll need to look at the city, give some thought to what we have now in terms of population, what we think we might have, so that we create equally balanced